Are you ready to explore the darker side of Genghis Khan? From being a great leader to a ruthless conqueror, Genghis Khan did some truly creepy things to his enemies. In this video, we will be discussing the untold creepy things that Genghis Khan did to his enemies. From using psychological warfare tactics to torturing his captives, we will explore the darkest depths of Genghis Khan's history. We will also talk about how his cruel actions have hurt his name and legacy. So, let's dive right in and learn about some of the most shocking things Genghis Khan did to his enemies. And before that, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Let's get started. A brutal and inhumane tactic of human shields. Human shields were known as karash among the Mongols. The Mongols rounded up all the captured humans, including women and children. At the point of a sword, they were forced to form a human shield that the Mongols could march behind without being attacked. Many innocent people were hurt by the defenders' arrows, crossbow bolts, crude bombs, boiling oil, and stones because of this cruel plan. The defenders were forced to shoot at their own people as the Mongols hit in the back. The only other choice was to give up quickly, which usually just meant showing respect to the Mongols. Without a doubt, using people as shields was a highly effective strategy. Mass execution. It is impossible to know for sure how many people died during the Mongol invasions, but many historians think the number was around 40 million. Consensus from the Middle Ages shows that China's population dropped by tens of millions during the Khan's rule, and experts think that Khan may have killed as many as 3/4 of the people who lived in what is now Iran during his war with the Khwarizmid Empire. Because of Mongolian invasions, the world's population dropped by around 11%. His opponents obsessively feared him because of the number of people he had slain. In battle, it was his most reliable weapon. To seek revenge against one lone individual, Genghis Khan went on a murderous rampage, taking out 1.7 million innocent people in the process. One of the fierce ruler's daughters had an especially strong bond with her husband, Tokuchar. Genghis Khan had a fondness for Tokuchar, making him his beloved son-in-law. When tragedy struck and Tokuchar was slain by an archer from Nishapur, the princess was determined to get revenge. Genghis Khan's army attacked the city of Nishapur, and the people who lived there were killed one by one. It's been estimated that 1,748,000 people perished. Even if the number is off, his soldiers were responsible for the death of everyone they came across. They hunted down and killed mums, newborns, kids, and even some pets like cats and dogs. Genghis Khan's daughter said that no one should be let off for a small injury, so their heads were cut off and their skulls were stacked like pyramids. He arranged marriages between his daughters and his allies and then had them murdered. Genghis Khan's marriages of his daughters to his allies' kings were a key factor in his rise to power. Genghis Khan made it so that even being married meant certain death. To be eligible to wed one of Genghis Khan's daughters, monarchs had to divorce all of their previous wives. He wasn't this way because he was committed to monogamy. It was done so that his daughters would be the only heirs to the throne. Following this, the Mongol rulers were sent to the front lines of battle. If the king or his male offspring died in that battle, his daughters became the monarchs. When Genghis Khan passed away, his daughters were in charge of a vast territory that reached from the Yellow Sea in China to the Caspian Sea in Iran. Genghis Khan changed the path of a river through the birthplace of his enemy to erase it from history. Genghis Khan did the unthinkable when he discovered Khwarizmia, a Muslim kingdom. A team of diplomats was sent to the city to open up a trade route and strengthen diplomatic ties. Khwarizmia's governor, however, was not convinced. He ordered the execution of the diplomats because he believed they were all part of a Mongolian plot. And when they dispatched another squad, he wiped them off too. King Genghis Khan was fuming. He had extended a hand of friendship, only to be repaid with the lives of diplomats. He assembled a 200,000-man army, invaded Khwarizmia, and obliterated the country. Khan sent out 2 armies to destroy any last traces of Khwarizmia, even though he had already won. This included destroying every castle, town, and farm they came across. One legend has it that he even rerouted a river so that it would pass through the kingdom and erase it from all maps. Genghis Khan had molten silver poured into an enemy leader's eyes and ears. The Khan was incredibly proud of the mayhem he caused and believed that the fear he inspired should help attract more allies without putting any of his men in danger. Although these campaigns of terror were commonplace for him, many people didn't recognize that if they incited him in a personal way, he could be more cruel and ruthless than they could have ever imagined. Untold, a noble leading a large city, stood in the way of the Khan's conquest. This made the Khan very, very angry. Earlier, he had sent 500 men with a caravan to create new trade routes in the area. Unfortunately, Untold had destroyed the caravan and rejected the Khan's offer of peace. This enraged Khan, he then wiped off the city's entire population, destroying what was left of it, and ensured the death of the despised leader by pouring molten silver into his eyes and ears. The Khan definitely would not tolerate such behavior, and this is one of the first accounts of a harsh punishment for shooting the messenger. As a child, he murdered his half-brother over a hunting dispute. While Genghis Khan was still a boy, his family was at odds with the rest of their tribe and were forced to fend for themselves. His mom was juggling 6 mouths to feed between her 4 biological kids and her 2 stepkids. Genghis Khan, or Temujin, as he was once known, was raised with the idea that he would have to kill for survival. Genghis helped provide for his family, but he frequently fought with his half-brother, a youngster of around the same age as himself, over how food should be distributed. After a disagreement between the 2 brothers, young Genghis took the matter to their mother. When young Genghis discovered that his mother had sided against him, he stormed off in a rage. Genghis and his younger brother ambushed and slaughtered their half-brother with bows as he was doing his own thing, unaware of what was coming. Their mother was heartbroken and enraged when she found out, yet they were never punished. Genghis never had any regret for that crime. It was logical in his mind, and it was probably the start of an addiction he couldn't resist. Mutilation. Genghis Khan was also known for his practice of mutilating his enemies. He would often cut off the noses, ears, and hands of his enemies in order to make them unable to fight back. He also believed that this practice would make them less attractive to potential allies. This tactic was effective in making his enemies feel powerless and helpless. When the Mongols won, they held a feast on top of the heads of the Russian nobles. In the year 1223, the Mongolian army was in the process of crossing Russia and had recently emerged victorious from the Battle of the Kalka River. After the Mongols took over their towns and the Russian army gave up, they decided to have a party to celebrate their victory. The Russian army's aristocrats and generals were told to get down on their knees and pray. After that, a substantial wooden gate was rolled over them, chairs and tables were placed on top of the gate, and the troops sat down to have a meal on top of the gate. They celebrated their victory by eating and drinking on top of the still living bodies of their enemies. Boiling and burning captured generals alive. Despite his many other attributes, Genghis Khan was not famed for his mercy. As we've seen, he doesn't think twice about killing his enemies, even if they were civilians who had given up without fighting. Before Genghis Khan united the Mongols and started his real reign of conquest, however, he had rivals for leadership among the Mongols, and some of them were just as crazy and cruel as he was. The one known as Jamilka is alleged to have burned the enemy generals in 70 clay pots after a particularly impressive victory. In any case, the brutality became so well known that some people began to support Genghis, even though he was also brutal. This may be due to the fact that Genghis's typical punishments for nobility were not as slow and gruesome as burning them alive, despite the fact that both were legal. The Khan crushed the backs of his opponents, there was an episode with the molten silver, and people were stomped in large numbers, but these are the less extreme forms of torture than boiling someone to death. This was today's video, but we have more interesting videos for you.